Okay, people. So, yo, AJ hit me up, right? Always, always a good thing to hear. You know what I mean? Because like I do, when AJ calls, there's going to be some good shit coming. So she hooked me up with this new indie flick out and about. Okay. It is written and directed by Peter Callahan. It's produced by Ivan Visali, uh, Konstantin von Krustern, co-produced by Amy Aguirre, executive produced by David Snyder, and associate produced by Anthony Visali and uh, Fiadu Xavier. Jano Manzali handled the music. David Tumbet Lee, cinematography. Graham Goodwin and Andrew Haffitz edited it. Anne Gouda was on casting. Chloe Satir, production design. Art direction is Sarah Butorabi. Hair and makeup, we've got Susie Bayo and Adelina Atashi. Production management, we have Linnea Larsdotter and Johan Maton. And our cast, well, actually, Peter also stars in the film as Jeff Fisher. We also have Maggie Lacey as Barbara, Tom Nellis as Coach Burns, Bridget White plays Paula, David is played by Matthew Boston, Daniel Stewart Sherman plays Ron, John Joseph Gallagher is Kenny, Monica is played by Finerty Steves, Ben Goujon is Richard, Martin Shaka is an older man. The hipster is played by Dave Murgatoid. The dog walker is Melissa Breiner-Sanders. Kathy is played by Welker White. And Melinda Tanner is Melinda. The contractor is played by Matt Atkins. Bridget Barkan is Janice. Mariette Booth is Mariette. Lisa Casella is the married woman. The Latino neighbor is Gabe Castillo. The boy is Will Coombs. The flagman is Lance Coulahin. Gina D'Angelo is Gina. Yeah, there's a lot of people, but that's a lot of them, right? So the gist is this. We take an unconventional tale about a middle-aged man, Jeff Fisher, trying to come to terms with his life over the course of an afternoon walk through his hometown. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it, right? Now, when you think about it, right, like how engaging can it be just to follow someone walking through their town, right? But no, it's like this older guy taking a stroll. And you see, it starts off, he's walking through and he's just like, oh man, these are beautiful houses, right? Gosh, I wonder how expensive that house is. Who would live in that house? Man, what a family of this and this. And it's just like, then you realize, like, if you've ever gone through a walk, right? Through not through the countryside, but through a housed place, a populated neighborhood, right? You find yourself looking at houses, right? And thinking, yeah, who would live in this? Right? That's a huge house. Man, how many bedrooms would that place have? Right? You ask yourself all of those sorts of questions, so it is really kind of tapping into that. And then when you see people outside the house, it's just like, huh, man, I didn't expect like that person to be there. I thought it'd be an older couple, or boy, I wonder how many of them are like, you know what I mean? Or it's like, oh, that looks like thingy from blah blah blah, you know? And especially because he's walking around the neighborhood he used to live in, right? Growing up. So when you do that, when you take those walks, right, you're contemplating past memories and being like, there's a, there's a bit where he's just like, oh, I remember walking past this house as a kid. And like some of the things he says, you'd be like, oh shit. I remember like when people would be like, yo, I walked home from last night after soccer, and soccer. What the fuck, man? Football. Why am I saying soccer? That's crazy shit. But watching too much American TV, yo. But you know what I mean? It's just like walking home from football practice, and you never guess what I saw when I looked up at that house, right? It's all those kind of stories. But then you're seeing people who you grew up with, and you're like, oh shit, they still live in a neighborhood. Or yo, who used to live at number 3? Oh man, it used to be, oh, that teacher from our school that was there. Yo, she was fine, right? And you find yourself like, yeah, reminiscing, you know, reminiscing. But then you bump into people, right? And it's just like, oh, fuck. Fucking Tim. Oh, Tim was such a prick at school. Hey, Tim, how are you? Oh, it's good to see you, man. But you don't give a fuck, right? It's asking those banal questions that you don't care what the answer is. Like, how's work? Oh, how are your parents? Right? This is what we get with Jeff Fisher, out and about. It just reminds you of all of those things. And then it's just, there's a point where he says something and he gets called out on it, kind of. And it's just like, oh man, I would not have the courage to do that. Right. And I think you notice that, right? With some of the people you speak to. Sometimes it's just like, hey. And it's just like, all right, I'm off. And it's just like, yeah, they're not interested in fucking small talk. Right. So why are you trying to do small talk with people? Right? Why are you trying to do that thing? Or why didn't you call them out when they made some horrific fucking comment, right? And you're just like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh okay. You know what I mean? Rather than, that's a stupid thing to say, man. What the fuck? You know what I mean? So it kind of points out all of those things, and I think a lot of people are guilty of that stuff. You know, like, it's a couple of uncomfortable conversations. You know what I mean? Like, it's there's a bit, and there's a girl sitting, a woman sitting on her steps, and like a part of the guy, he's just like, nice wedges, and it's just like, yo, dude, what the fuck? Like, I think you spend, it's what, 80 minutes, so it's not too long. Like, even 80 minutes, you initially, I wouldn't have thought that would be, what I mean? You think, I don't want to spend 80 minutes just with a guy walking around a fucking neighborhood, but you don't really notice that amount of time. But yeah, it's just, like some of the comments and things like that. And you find, I think you've spent this amount of time with the Jeff that you're just like, dude, why did you ask that question? That's just, oh man. And you're feeling like, oh, uncomfortable for the dude. You know what I mean? Because it's like some of the things, it's just like, oh. Or there's a young girl he sees, and just that conversation and those inner thoughts, and you're just like, oh fucking hell, man. Yo. And even seeing X Flames and all of that. Like Jeff runs a gauntlet, right? He bumps into buddies, he bumps into people he knows, acquaintances, right? Not everyone's a buddy, not everyone's a friend. And even people that were friends, and it's not like you ended on bad terms or anything like that, but you know, you don't really roll with those people anymore. So it's a different type of interaction, bumping into teachers that you, you know what I mean, you used to have to study under. It's a different interaction. So it's very intriguing watching this. Just some of the comments on just, normal things, right? He's walking, going, oh yeah, roses are looking nice. Huh, why don't I know the other names of these other flowers? Right? I mean, I know a lily, but there's a daffodil. I'm not sure what those pink things. And yeah, oftentimes I have to say, I'm walking, and be like, flowers look nice. What are they though? I don't think I know what the fuck that is. You know what I mean? So it's like the concept sounds a little bit out there, but when you watch this, you are kind of pulled into that whole thing of, yeah, I've done this, right? I've had those conversations. Hey, I will say I've never gone and said nice wedges, right? I ain't that motherfucker. You know what I mean? I ain't had all these conversations, but I dig it, right? I've had similar, yo, but man, the most embarrassing, I remember going to see my parents. So I'm in the old neighborhood, and I think I see a friend who I went to school with, their mum, and I'm like, "Hey!" And then it was a dude. He turns around, and I'm just having to be like, "Hey, oh, oh no, it's not who I thought it was." You know what I mean? Just try and play it like, oh fuck. I got an excuse. I can't see motherfuckers, so you can't judge me. But yeah, no, this it's got a little charm to it. You know what I mean? It's got a little charm to it. Like it's we're not gonna you know, win some Golden Globes for acting or anything like that. But everyone does their thing, right? It's solid. Like the performances kind of match the interactions from these weird questions and asides that we get from old Jeff as he's pondering around the old haunt. So yeah, it makes you smile. A few little chuckles in there, you know? So, it's just one of those things. I was thinking, right? Because there have been, when you think about the Before trilogy, I mean, especially the first one, Before Sunset, or is the first one before I get Before Sunset and Sunrise mixed up all the fucking time. But that first one, when they're just walking around, was it Berlin? Fuck, I forget where it was. But when they're just walking around, right, and just s- talking to each other, like having conversations with people they pass in the street, right? And there's those guys handing out flyers for their stage production, and it's just those kind of conversations. So there's that, and then oh man, there's this film In Search of a Midnight Kiss, which again, two people walking around, odd conversations with people, they bump into, and all of that kind of thing. So there have been films that are kind of similar, but this is still a little unique. It's a little unique and it's a little charming. So people, if this sounds like you, right? It's kind of essentially a slice of life flick, right? If that's your jam, then Out and About, I think that would be for you. All right. It's available on all the typical streaming platforms, all your VODs that you go and get your films from. So yeah, give it a go. Out and About.